Welcome back to another Terranscapes video. I'm Mike, and I will be your guide this evening. It is at least evening for me. Cocktail of the evening is a dry Mahoney. This is a bourbon dry vermouth, sort of like a martini, but with bourbon. I'm a Wild Turkey fan. Seems to offer good flavor for value. I can't afford more expensive bourbon, so... and has a twist of lime in it. Lemon. I take limes in my martinis. Anyway, you're not here about cocktails. I'm just going to force it on you every video. At least every video I shoot in the evening. What are you here for? You are here to see a unique project that I completed. It was a project that I made for my wife, Tanya. For those of you who don't know, some of you must. She's a teacher, and she teaches high school English, and she has a science fiction fantasy class coming up this semester. And she had requested that I do a diorama for her probably at least a year, maybe 2 years ago. I started it, put it on the shelf, never got back to it. And for this holiday, I decided that I would make it for her. So I spent, I thought I would do it for a couple hours an evening and have it done on time. And then the last week, I basically spent like 8 to 10 hours a day on it every day just to get it done on time. But I did. And it was really interesting doing a project for me. Something totally different, something just on my whim, and trying to hit a deadline, which I have never done in my entire career, such as it is, for Terranscapes. So that was a unique experience. So what is the project? Well, the thumbnails probably hinted at it. I made a 15 millimeter scale diorama of the Shire, and I won't say more about it until we take a look at it. So thank you for joining me for this video. I hope you find it interesting. And if you're a longtime viewer, I think it's going to be something a little bit different for you out of the Terranscape studio. So let's go take a look. So first, I wanted to show you the mock-up that I made for the diorama. I have a case that I had on hand, an acrylic case to put a model in or car or something like that. And I had bought that case a while ago for another diorama idea, which I never created, but may happen one day. And so I designed this to fit within the case. This mock-up here is actually scaled for closer to 6 mil, maybe 10 mil. I can't remember exactly. And my thinking was that I wanted to have 3 Hobbit homes, and I wanted to have a path here so I could have a cart approaching, and I'll show you why in a minute. So I decided to mock up some trees. These are some hedges, put in a couple chimneys, think about how they might come down, via some stairs, something like that. And this is plaster cloth. So this is over, you can see here I've got just some ribbing of foam core just to hold that all together and kind of create these, these undulations. And I just threw some plaster cloth on it to, give it some rigidity and let me sort of see the contours of it. Hit the mic. There were some initial ideas that I wanted, and boy, though, this tree, can I just say, that's a terrible placement for that tree. I don't know what I was thinking. This tree's fallen over, but it's supposed to be, like that. Whoops, we'll skip that. But I wanted some, I'm just going to make sure it's in frame, yeah. I wanted some, like a little crops or a garden or something like that. I did want a couple trees. I wanted some hedgerows, and I was expecting to have some stairs or something coming down to the path because I also wanted to have some height, and I wanted to kind of fill the frame, if you will, of the case that I had. So this was my mock-up. And here is the actual diorama that I completed. So I moved it to 15 millimeter scale, being partly because finding good miniatures at 10 millimeter is not really doable because they're 10 millimeter. So I decided to go with 15 millimeter for the Hobbits, and that's really, I think, just the perfect scale for something of this size. The miniatures are from Essex. I'll try to do that without slurring. Essex Miniatures, and they have a couple packs of Hobbits, and I got the two varieties. There were like farmer Hobbits, and so the farmer Hobbits have, farming implements, and then there are like militia Hobbits, and they have bows and a few other weapons. So what I ended up doing was combining them, and I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's talk a little bit about the construction first. You're probably curious. If you're not, you should be. What does the little plaque say? It's not easy to see. This was incredibly difficult to photograph. Can I just say that? Incredibly difficult, both for this plaque and the case itself. So I'm going to talk about the plaque in particular and how and how it relates to the scene at the end here. So a quick overview of the construction. This is styrene that I used 0.06 for the side panels. I would not do that again. It is very soft plastic, and it's very hard to get it smooth when you get a scratch in it, and trying to blend the edges. I hate doing it, and I knew I'd hate it when I started it, and I will never do it again. It will always be wood from now on if I do any of this. The construction itself is foam, pink insulation foam that I shaved down, whatnot. And the homes themselves, the faces, they are balsa foam. And I've talked about balsa foam in the past. It's a very soft, sort of acrylic plastic foam, if you can believe that description, and you can carve into it very, very easily. I had started these homes quite a while ago, actually, and I ended up deciding to go with it and see what I could do with balsa foam. If you notice that it has a very aggressive texture. Now, I did not seal it. I could have smoothed it. I'm not going to get into a big discussion about how to work with balsa foam, but I will say that without doing any kind of a sealing, painting it was very difficult. It does not like to accept paint very well. It soaks in, but the brush doesn't fill the gaps. It's weird, and it restricts you in the level of detail that you can carve, because when you start to get lines that are too close together, you end up fracturing the foam. It can take quite a bit of detail, though, so I don't want to dissuade anybody from thinking about it. All of the rock walls are made with balsa foam as well. So, and I think for the rock walls, perfect. By using the balsa foam, I'm able to press into it to have some of the rocks recede, and it gives some nice variation in the texture, and the texture of the foam itself works really well for sort of a rough stone look, not so well for wood. And the inability to really detail the wooden frames meant that, let's just say, I'm not happy with how the faces came out. We'll move on. The rest of the construction. So the trees, I was pressed for time. Like I said, I worked many hours late into the night, and so I didn't want to try to go with a wire armature tree. So what I did is I used a regular plastic armature from Woodland Scenics, but then I used methods I had learned from Gordon Gravitt's book on deciduous trees to do the foliage, and I really liked how it came out. I actually spoiled it when I tried to very lightly seal it, and in this tree in particular, depending on how it's lit and what's in the frame, for God's sakes, it actually matted down the foliage a bit, and I was pretty sad about that. It happened on the apple trees as well. So, don't touch it because it's too delicate. It's even a fine mist, it's just too delicate. The apple trees, I wasn't sure about what to do with them because I wanted apples and I didn't have anything I thought would work. And I ended up using some of the super leaf from Woodland Scenics. I had some on hand and I wasn't sure if it would work well because they're flakes, but I thought they came out just great for the apple trees. Perfect for the scale, and because of their size, you're not really noticing that they're more of a leaf shape than a sphere. Worked out really well, like that. Let's see, we'll keep going here. The crop rows here that you see are actually autumn goldenrod from Scenic Express. Oh, this is Scenic Express. I thought I said Woodland Scenics. It's Scenic Express for that super leaf. And I had these, and I was like, I don't know when I'm ever going to use them. But I knew I wanted some cropping on the diorama, particularly once I got this guy, because he got a little sickle and he's harvesting, and so I was like, oh, I got to have him cutting down some crops of some sort. So I wanted to add in some crop rows, and for scale, just wonderful. I really love the effect that is giving in terms of having, like, I don't know, some kind of fantasy corn or whatever. Other large-scale foliage that you see, this is a, oh geez, I'm trying to look on my shelf here. Creative Accents. Woodland Scenic Express actually carries this now. It's sort of like a brambly, wiry clump that has foliage applied, and then some of it has colors. I wanted to have a lot of color variation, first of all, but also lots of flowers near the homes. So, I wanted to have it, look like it's happy. It's a happy place. And I had some sort of like formalized flower tufts that just are so garish. I've never wanted to use them on any piece of terrain, but they work perfectly for sort of a formal garden. So I got a chance to use like 2 of them. And then I had made in the past some of my own flower tufts. These are, oh gosh, I can't remember. I can't remember what these are. I'm not going to look. But I basically attached them to some tufts of grass. Sprayed, just lightly brushed it with some glue. Sprinkled these on. Made some of these. So glad I did. Love those. This is. Let's see here. I'll get this up close, even though it's from behind. You can see the texture. This is a filigree bush. This I actually ordered from Europe because I couldn't find it in the U.S. And one of my patrons, Vicky, wonderful, she pointed it out to me, and it has a really nice texture. Now, Woodland Scenics actually carries something very similar. This is their olive leaf something, I can't remember exactly, but it has a similar structure and a nice color actually as well. So that's where those came from. There's some odds and ends scattered about.